Hi everybody, hope you're all safe and staying well. Now I do all my edits inside of Lightroom, but I do take my portraits across into Photoshop to do some skin retouching. Now once I get into Photoshop, my creativity kicks in. It's not my fault, it's because Photoshop is so exciting and the amount of variations that you can create, it's just endless. Now in this video, I'm going to show you how I took a photograph of Sophie across into Photoshop and then decided to add some newsprint over the top of her face. Now it's quite a unique look, but I think you'll agree it looks great. So enjoy the video and please stay safe. How do you apply newsprint to a photograph? Well, I'm going to show you, and it's going to look like this when I've done it. Now, before I do that, I'm going to talk you through my thought process when I start to edit a portrait. Now, if you don't want to listen to me rambling on, then by all means jump ahead to the tutorial and I'll put the timing up on the screen. If you're with me, thanks for staying. Let's go back to the original photograph then. So if I just zoom in a little bit, and I'll take you through, like I say, my thought process. Here is the original photograph that came off the camera, and it comes complete with little pimples and light and dark areas of skin. We have to get rid of those. We just simply have to. And there's two ways, in my mind anyway, to do that, and that's frequency separation or dodging and burning. Now in this particular photograph, I painstakingly used the dodge and burn technique, and it did take me a considerable length of time, but I think it's kind of worth it. So this is, as I say, off the camera, and then this is the version that's been dodged and burned, and it looks great, doesn't it? Now I could have used frequency separation, and to be honest, because I'm going to put newsprint over the top of this image, then it would have been fine to use frequency separation, because the accuracy the dodging and burning has given me is going to be lost when I apply the newsprint over the top. But I didn't know that at the time, but anyway. So I would save that because I like it and I've worked hard on it and I think it looks great. And if we just look at the before again, it looks like that. And I think that looks really good. But Photoshop gives you the ability to create so many different looks and to take it so much further. Why not do it? And it's brilliant. It's honestly, let your creativity flow. Now there's many different ways of changing that photograph from this point. And one of the ways is to apply a lookup table. Now, rather than me describe what a lookup table is and explain what it's doing, I don't want to do it twice. If you watch the tutorial, I go through what it is in the tutorial. But let me just show you, when I apply that adjustment layer that has the lookup table, it looks like this. And I've chosen like a faded film style look. And that is just quite simply by just applying one adjustment layer. And it looks great, doesn't it? Now you can get this lookup table, or LUT for short, by downloading it, and there's a link in the description at the bottom. So if you like this faded film look, by all means download the LUT. How did I take it further then to get the newsprint effect? Well, there was a fair bit of work involved, all simple, but if you follow the steps in the tutorial, you'll see it's not that complicated. I applied another lookup table that took it to black and white, and again you can download that in the description below too. Then I applied a filter, and this is called diffuse glow, and what that's done, it's kind of softened the image and also brightened it a fair bit, because the text of the newsprint is going to sit over the skin, and for it to work properly, the lighter the image is, the more chance of there is that you can see the newsprint. So that's what I did. After applying the diffuse glow, I still thought it could do it being a little bit brighter, so I used the curves adjustment layer, and I just took it to the edge where it was starting to maybe go overexposed. It isn't overexposed, but it's just on the edge. So that looks great for the skin, but the hair is still too dark because text from the newsprint won't be visible over the hair. So the next thing to do was to lighten the hair, which is what I did. So I've lightened the hair. Then I decided to introduce some colour back into the eyes and the lips, only slightly. And as you can see, it's just coming through there. I also added a photo filter as well, which just gave it that little sort of sepia tone look. Now zooming out, I could actually leave the image as it is because it's a unique look, isn't it? And it's completely different to how the photograph started off. So if we just jump back to the edited version, then the one with the LUT applied, and then to this look which we just created. And this is just a look that's ready for the newsprint to be put on the top, but it looks great, doesn't it? So I would probably save that actually, but eventually I added the newsprint over the top and it looked like that. I can also put another layer on there, adjustment layer, and this allows me to change the colour. So I'm going to go through all of those things in the tutorial. And as I say, you can create an infinite amount of looks. And I will probably use this image a few times and add various different things over the top. And you'll see this photograph will crop up again, don't worry, in a few more tutorials. And I'll take you through loads of different techniques and things you can do. Right, if you stayed with me, thanks very much. Now you can watch the tutorial. Welcome to the tutorial where we're going to put newsprint over the top of Sophie. So far we've got the original image and the edited version over the top. So let me just show you before and after. So clearly the first thing you need to do is to attack all the little blemishes and pimples and basically retouch the skin. And as I said, you can do that in two ways. You can use frequency separation or dodging and burning. And in this particular image, I use dodging and burning. Now that is one look finished. I've retouched the skin. I'm happy with it. I'll save that. But obviously we want to go on to create the newsprint look. So let's go through the steps we need to do to achieve that. So the first thing I want to do is apply a lookup table. So if you've got this panel open here, it's this little checkered one here, look, color lookup. Or if you haven't got that open, you can come down to your adjustment layers here and just look for color lookup. And I'm going to click on that. Now that's created an adjustment layer, a color lookup adjustment layer. So let's talk about what they are then. Now in the movie industry, a movie is recorded with a really flat picture profile. If you saw a movie before it was gone through the editing stage, you'd be astounded at how sort of washed out the colours look. Now it's done deliberately because after the movie's been edited, a colorist will come along and he will apply a look to that film. So if it's a comedy or a rom-com, it'll perhaps have lots of bright colours and yellows and sky blues. If it's a horror film, it would have muted colours. If it was a science fiction film, it might have a lot of teal and orange colours. And that's kind of sets the mood for the film. Now, when the colorist is editing the film, he will apply a lookup table. And all it is, it's a look that is, it's a series of algorithms and settings. You don't need to know all that, other than the fact it applies a certain look to that film. And there are thousands, and it's infinite amount of lookup tables, and you'll find them all over the place. But as I say, the one I'm going to use for this particular image, you can download, and you'll find that in the description below. So how do you apply the lookup table? Well, in the properties, just click where it says load 3D LUT. Now you'll have the list you can see there, you will have them, I would imagine, because they come with Photoshop. So you'll have them, and you can by all means try them on some of your photographs. But what we want to do is we want to load a LUT. So if I just click on it again, the little box comes up and locate where it is. Now I know it's lookup table number 12, and you can, as I say, you can download that from the description below. So if I click on that, select it, and then just open it, we've now got that black and white image. Now that's how I achieved the black and white image using a lookup table. There's many different ways of achieving a black and white image. If you have got a preferred way of doing it, then by all means do that. But how quick was that? Just by applying that lookup table, we've now got the basis to start creating this unique look. The next thing to do then is to create a stamp layer. Now all a stamp layer does is it merges together all the visible layers. So we've got these layers here, 3 so far. So it's Shift, Option, Command E. And it's Shift, Alt, Control E if you're on a PC. And I've now created a stamped layer. And I'm going to rename that layer Diffuse Glow. Now the reason I've called it Diffuse Glow is because I'm going to apply a filter called Diffuse Glow. So if we go up to the top drop down filter section, and I'm going to find Filter Gallery, click on there, and now I've already got it selected, but let's just see where it is. You're going to have a set of folders that have got various filters in. The one we're looking for is Distort, and then make sure you click on Diffuse Glow. And the settings, if you just follow what I've done there, graininess 3, glow amount 1, and clear amount 7. If I just slide that, you can see what it's actually happening. So obviously if I go too far, it's going to go too clear. So about 7 is pretty good. So I would accept that. And we've now got the skin lighter, which is what we needed. Although it still needs to be a bit lighter. So what I'm going to do now is apply a curves layer. And again, you'll find the curves layer just here if you've got this panel open, or down at the bottom, and then just locate it there. So now we've got a curves layer. Now hopefully you know what curves are, so I won't go describe in too much detail, but obviously if we take the curve up, it's going to go lighter, and down it's going to go darker. Now there's more to it than that, but that's just a little basic introduction to it if you don't know. Now that is now lightening up the skin, which is what I wanted, and I don't want it to go too light at the bottom. I want a bit of contrast, so probably around there should do it. That looks about right. Yeah, so that is the skin lightened. Now I could rename that skin lightened, and I tell you what, let's just do that. Now we need another layer to brighten the hair, so let's create another adjustment layer, and that needs to be curves as well, and we need to pull up the actual hair, and I need it to be as bright as what you can see here, because the text is gonna sit over the top of the hair, and if it's too dark, then you're not going to be able to see it. And so that's what we're going to do. So I'll pull that up quite a bit. It's distorted a little bit, but don't worry. And it's obviously made a complete mess of the face, but again, we're going to use a mask and we're going to paint in that effect. So hopefully you know what a mask is. I'll just tell you briefly. We've got this little box here. Now the effect I've just put on is visible all over that image, but we only want it visible on the hair. So we have a mask. So I'm going to invert the mask. Now you can see all the effect because it's white, and that means you try and look at it this way. If it's white, it's clear and you're looking through and you can see the effect. Now I'm going to change that to black, and I'm just going to invert it so it's Command or Control I, and now we can't see the effect because it's black, and I need to start rubbing away some of that black area to reveal what's underneath. Now to do that, we just need a brush. So I'm going to come across to here, get a nice soft brush, make sure the colour's on white, and I put the flow on about 60%. And then we can use the square bracket keys to make the brush size a bit bigger. And then all I'm going to do is paint in that effect. So I want all of this to be removed up here and basically just lighten the hair. So that should do it, and I think the text will be visible now through that. So we can call this then lighter hair. Now you don't have to rename these layers, but I'm just doing it so you can, for your benefit really. I've just missed a bit up there, so I'm just going to go in and do that. And there you go. So that's how you use a mask. Maybe that's the first time you've seen a mask being used. I doubt it, but it might be. Okay, so the next stage after that then is I applied a warming filter. So you'll find the warming filter just here, and it's called photo filter. And again, I'm sure there it is there. So yeah, just click on there, and it might default at warming filter. I know mine does, and I'm just going to back that off a little bit. And that's give us that really nice sepia look, isn't it? So okay, so what have we done so far? We've obviously retouched the skin. We've applied a color lookup table, diffuse glow, and then we've used curves layers to make the image a bit lighter. Now, oddly enough, you might be looking at the image on the screen and thinking, crikey, I like that. This is where you can save it, as another, and then carry on working. So you've got another unique look. But the next thing to do then would be to put some color into the eyes and the lips. So let me show you how we do that. So this edited layer here, I'm going to make a copy of that, and that's just Command or Control J. So I've now got two versions. As you can see, this is now a copy, and I'm going to drag that up to the top. And as you can see, because it's the top layer, it's visible, and the layers below are not visible. So we need to apply a mask. Now we need to apply a black mask. Now to do that, it's Alt or Option and press this little icon here. This will apply the mask, and it will apply a black mask. Now remember, you can't see through a black mask, so we need to paint on this to reveal what's underneath. So let me just zoom in a little bit, and then select the brush, make sure it's white, and use your square bracket keys to make the brush smaller, and then I can just go in and reveal that colour. Very simple, isn't it? I do love using masks, I must admit. It's one of the great things about Photoshop. And then do the lips. Now, clearly that's a bit too strong, isn't it? So we can go over to our layers palette and just take the opacity down, and probably somewhere around about there. It looks fine, doesn't it? So let's have a look at that then. That looks great, doesn't it? And that's like another look that we can save. Just putting that little bit of colour back in. Debatable whether it needed it, but I think it looks great, doesn't it? So now we're ready to add the newsprint. Now you can download the newsprint, and I'll put a link in the description below. Now to do it, if we go across to File and then select Place Linked, click on there and then locate where it is, and I have it saved here, so newsprint.jpg, and as I say, you can download this and then just place it on top of the image, and there you go, it's done. You can't see Sophie at all. And that's because you need to change the blend mode, and the blend mode you can find in the layers palette, and just drop it down here, and the one we're looking for is darken, and straight away it's done it. How easy was that? Now you can put your own newsprint on. Or as I say, you can download the one I've used. It's entirely up to yourself. Now we can also back off the opacity if we think it needs it, if it was a bit too strong. So maybe around about there looks quite good. Now the last thing to do would be to add a solid colour over the top. Now it's another adjustment layer, and if I drop down here, and it's the solid colour adjustment layer that we're going to use, and I'm going to type in a set of numbers and letters here. Now it can be, you can drag this round and decide what colour you want, but I've got a set of numbers that I've used in the past. These are called hex numbers, and all it is, it's a direct colour, rather than, it's a great way of just, you know, copy and pasting. But as I say, you can drag this round, pick whatever colour you want, and I'll show you that in a second. So I'm going to click on OK, and then I just need to change the blend mode again to colour, and there you go. Now it's a bit strong, so I can just back that off a little bit, and now I've got that colour. Now the great thing is, with this colour fill adjustment layer, I can double click here, and now I can drag that round and make it whatever. Actually, I kind of like that colour. So you can change it to whatever colour you like, and that's just a little option for you. So that's without, that's with. Actually, I'm preferring it without, but again, it's just another little option, and it gives you another look, another sort of version of the same photograph. Let's go full screen then and have a little look. And that looks brilliant, doesn't it? It's fairly easy to do, isn't it? And you can see that before, with the curves adjustment layers, lightening the hair has allowed the text to come through. Now over here it's a bit darker. It doesn't matter, but it's a bit dark and you can't see the text. You could also as well take the text out of the eyes and the lips. Now I tried that, and I actually prefer it in the eyes, so I've left it in. So let's go right back to the very start, and this is the way the image started off, straight from camera, with all the blemishes and light and dark patches of skin. After the skin retouching, it looked like that. I applied a colour lookup table, and as I say, you can download that LUT in the description below, and that gave us this black and white, or you can use your own way of getting a black and white version. Applied a diffuse glow filter. I used 2 curve adjustment layers to lighten the skin and the hair, and then I put a photo filter on, which just warmed it and gave it that sepia look. I added the eye colour and the lip colour, and then just dropped the newsprint over the top, and then optionally put in a colour fill layer. Now with that done, I could apply another curves adjustment layer and change the way it looks. As I say, it's infinite, isn't it? You can carry on. So maybe just a bit darker, like that looks a bit better. And of course you can switch these on and off. All I've just done is just change the contrast a little bit on that. And again, you know, as I say, I hope to use this photograph a few times to show you that one photograph, just having one photograph, you can create so many different versions. But I hope you like this version, and I hope your version looks similar. So best of luck, and thanks for watching. Now I'll hand you back to Frank. Hey, he's not a bad teacher, Frank, is he? Now listen, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, put a thumbs up. Now I don't mean sit there, but you know, and consider subscribing as well. But above all else, thanks very much for watching, and you take care of yourselves, stay safe, and I will see you in the next upload. So bye for now. Take a photograph.